The first positive pregnancy test I ever saw wasn't mine. It belonged to the woman in the bathroom stall next to me at the fertility clinic, who burst into happy tears while I sat there staring at another negative, my hands shaking as I held the stick that cost us another $30,000 in hope. My name is Willow, and I've spent the last 3 years trying to become a mother. That's roughly 1,095 days of hormone injections, scheduled sex, and disappointment. But today was supposed to be different. Today we had an appointment to start our final IVF cycle, the one our doctor said had the highest chances yet. "Mrs. Price?" the nurse called from the doorway. "Dr. Patterson is ready for you." I smoothed my skirt and followed her down the familiar hallway, past walls decorated with photos of smiling babies. Our babies, I thought. The ones we'd saved every penny for. The ones Seth and I had promised each other we'd have someday. "Before we begin," Dr. Patterson said, settling behind her desk, "we'll need to process the payment. Your insurance covers part of the procedure, but there's still the remainder of $30,000 to settle." "Of course." I pulled out my phone to transfer the funds. We've had it saved for months. The loading circle spun. Error message. I tried again. "Is everything okay?" Dr. Patterson asked. "Just a second." My fingers trembled as I logged into our joint account. The balance stared back at me. 847.32s. "I don't understand," I whispered. "There must be some mistake." "We can reschedule," Dr. Patterson offered gently. "These things happen." "These things don't just happen to $30,000. I called Seth immediately. Straight to voicemail. I texted, "Where is our IVF money?" 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Finally, "I'm so sorry. Can we talk about this at home?" I drove home in a daze, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. Seth's car was already in the driveway. He met me at the door, his face pale. "Before you say anything," he started. "Where is it?" My voice was eerily calm. He swallowed hard. "Mom called last week. Poppy's wedding venue fell through. They needed the deposit for a new one immediately, or they'd lose the date." The room started spinning. "Our IVF money? You gave our baby money to Poppy for her wedding?" "It wasn't just the venue," he admitted, looking at the floor. "The caterer needed a deposit too. And the dress shop." "Stop." I held up my hand. "How long have you been taking it?" 3 months. Mom said we could try for a baby next year. Poppy's wedding is a one-time thing, and family has to come first." "Family has to come first?" I laughed, but it sounded more like a sob. "What do you think we've been trying to create for the past 3 years? My phone buzzed. A text from Michaela. "Willow, dear, I know you're upset, but Poppy needs this. You're being selfish. You can always try again next year." I showed Seth the message. "Did you tell them all? Did you all sit around discussing our money, our private struggles, while I was injecting myself with hormones every night?" "Mom said you'd understand," he whispered. Another text from Michaela. "Poppy's been crying all day because of your drama. She deserves her perfect wedding. Stop being jealous." I walked upstairs without another word, grabbed my overnight bag, the one I kept packed for early morning doctor appointments, and headed for the door. "Where are you going?" Seth called after me. "Please, we can figure this out." I turned to look at him one last time. My husband of 6 years, the man I'd trusted with everything, my heart, my dreams, our future. You know what the worst part is? It's not even the money. It's that you let them convince you that their wants were more important than our needs. "Willow, please." But I was already closing the door behind me, my mind racing with possibilities. They thought they knew me. Sweet, understanding Willow, who always gave in to keep the peace. They assumed I'd forgive and forget, like always. They had no idea what they'd just unleashed. I pulled out my phone and called Sophia, my best friend since college. "Can I stay with you for a few days?" "Of course," she said immediately. What happened? I'll tell you everything when I get there. I started the car, watching Seth's silhouette in our bedroom window. But first, I need you to help me plan something. Plan what? I smiled, but there was no warmth in it. The perfect wedding gift. You're telling me he spent 3 months systematically draining your IVF fund? Sophia poured more wine into my glass. We sat cross-legged on her living room floor, surrounded by takeout containers and my laptop. Look at this, I said, turning the screen toward her. First withdrawal, $12,000 for the venue deposit. 2 weeks later, $8,000 for the caterer. Then smaller amounts, all perfectly timed around my night shifts, so I wouldn't notice the notifications. Sophia leaned forward, squinting at the transactions. That's not impulsive. That's calculated. Exactly. I pulled up my email. And here's the kicker. I found these in Seth's archived emails. The wedding vendors sent him quotes months ago. He and Poppy were planning this while I was still going to fertility appointments. That entitled Little Princess, Sophia muttered. What did Cade say about all this? That's another thing. I clicked through more emails. Cade doesn't know. According to these messages between Seth and Michaela, they told him Poppy's parents were paying for everything as their wedding gift. My phone buzzed. Another group text from Michaela. Family dinner tomorrow night. Willow, we need to discuss your behavior. Running away isn't solving anything. Your behavior? Sophia's voice dripped with disgust. They steal your money and you're the one with behavior problems? I showed her my screen. Look at the previous messages. Sophia scrolled up, reading aloud. Poppy deserves her dream wedding. Willow's grief is eating her joy. She needs to stop being dramatic about this. We're all family here. She looked up at me. This is gaslighting 101. Keep reading. Her eyes widened. They're already planning to use the house you and Seth bought as collateral for a loan, for the honeymoon, without telling you? That's why I need your help. I opened a new tab. Remember your cousin who works in banking? Marcus? Yeah, he's a financial investigator now. Why? Because I need to know exactly where my money went. Every transaction, every account it touched. I started typing. And I need to know what other financial decisions my husband has been making behind my back. Sophia grabbed her phone. I'll call him now. But Willow, what are you planning? First, I'm documenting everything. I pulled out a fresh notebook. Every text, every email, every transaction. Then I'm going to play their game. Their game? Michaela wants me at family dinner tomorrow? Fine. I'll go. I'll apologize. I'll even offer to help with the wedding. I smiled tightly. They want the perfect family facade? I'll give them one they'll never forget. My phone buzzed again. Seth, please come home. We can work this out. I love you. I showed Sophia the message. 3 years ago, when we started trying for a baby, Seth promised me we'd always be a team. That nothing was more important than building our family. I took a screenshot of his message. He broke that promise the moment he chose his sister's party over our future. So what's the plan? The wedding's in 3 weeks. They expect me to either cause a scene and look like the villain, or submit and play happy families. I pulled up Poppy's wedding website. But I'm going to do something much worse. What? I'm going to give them exactly what they want. The perfect sister-in-law, the supportive wife, the doting aunt-to-be. I clicked through the wedding schedule. Right up until the gift opening ceremony, Sophia's phone pinged. Marcus can meet us tomorrow morning. He says to bring all the account information you have. Perfect. I opened my email and started composing a message to Michaela. I'm sorry for overreacting. You're right. Family comes first. I'll be there for dinner tomorrow. We can discuss how I can help with the wedding. They're going to believe that? Sophia asked skeptically. They'll believe what they want to believe. I hit send. That's what makes this perfect. They're so convinced of their own righteousness, they'll never see it coming. Another text from Seth. Mom says you're coming to dinner tomorrow. Thank you for understanding. I knew you'd come around. I showed Sophia the message. See? They're already patting themselves on the back. And the IVF money? I closed my laptop. They think they stole my chance at having a family, but they forgot something important. What's that? I'm not just some quiet little wife who'll keep sacrificing herself to keep the peace. I pulled out the business card Dr. Patterson had given me months ago, the one for a private fertility clinic that offered donor programs. I'm a woman who spent 3 years learning everything there is to know about making babies. And trust me, there's more than one way to build a family. Sophia raised her eyebrows. What are you saying? I'm saying, I smiled, that by the time I'm done, they'll wish they'd never taught me what family first really means. The family dinner was exactly what I expected. A masterclass in manipulation. Michaela had prepared all of Seth's favorite foods, and Poppy was practically bouncing with excitement as she showed me her wedding Pinterest boards. I knew you'd understand once you calmed down, Michaela said, serving me an extra-large portion of lasagna. Family always comes together in the end. I smiled sweetly. You're absolutely right. In fact, I'd love to help with the wedding preparations, Poppy squealed. Really? Because I actually need someone to coordinate with the florist and help with the seating chart, and I'd be honored. I reached for my phone. Why don't we set up some planning sessions? I have quite a few vacation days saved up. Seth squeezed my hand under the table, relief evident on his face. If he noticed I didn't squeeze back, he didn't show it. The next morning I met with Marcus, Sophia's cousin, at a coffee shop far from our usual haunts. It's worse than you thought, he said, sliding a folder across the table. Your husband's been making some interesting financial moves for months. Multiple transfers to his sister's accounts, a new credit card in his name only, and he paused. He's been inquiring about home equity loans. I flipped through the documents, all without my knowledge or consent, which is illegal, considering it's a joint property. Marcus lowered his voice. Look, this isn't just about the IVF money anymore. You need to protect yourself. I already am. I pulled out my own folder. I opened a separate account yesterday. I've moved my direct deposits there, and I've documented every unauthorized transaction he's made. Marcus nodded approvingly. Smart, but there's something else you should know. He pointed to a particular transaction. See this transfer from 3 days ago? $5,000 to a wedding planner. Let me guess. Another surprise for Poppy? Actually, it's for a surprise wedding video montage. Your husband's planning to showcase your love story at the reception. I couldn't help but laugh. Perfect. That works right into my plans. Later that day, I met Poppy at her chosen florist. She was in full bridezilla mode, arguing about peony shades. They have to be exactly this shade of pink, she insisted, waving a color swatch. My whole aesthetic depends on it. Speaking of aesthetic, I interjected smoothly, I'd love to contribute something special to your video montage. Poppy's eyes lit up. Seth told you about that? It's supposed to be a surprise. Oh, I have some surprises of my own planned. I pulled out my credit card. In fact, why don't I hire an additional videographer to capture every single moment of your special day? That evening, I had dinner with my boss, Daryl, at a quiet restaurant across town. You want to what? He asked, nearly choking on his wine. I need to take all my vacation days next week, and then I need to discuss some flexible working arrangements. Daryl studied me carefully. Does this have anything to do with why you've been sleeping in your office some nights? You noticed? I'm your boss, Willow, and your friend. Talk to me. So I did. I told him everything. The stolen money, the betrayal, the plans for revenge. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. You know, he said finally, we've been wanting to expand our remote work options. And that position in the Singapore office is still open. I raised an eyebrow. The one with full relocation benefits? The very same. He smiled. Just say when. Back at Sophia's apartment, I found another series of texts from Seth. Miss you. Come home. We can start saving again. Sophia read over my shoulder. How can he still not get it? Because he thinks he knows me. I showed her the confirmation email from the private fertility clinic. Tomorrow morning, I have an appointment to discuss embryo donation. Single mother track, using the money from selling your car, and my jewelry, plus what I managed to transfer before Seth could touch it. I pulled up my calendar. The timing works perfectly. By the time they realize what's happening, it'll be too late. And the wedding? Oh, I'll be there. I'll help Poppy pick her flowers, taste her cake, arrange her perfect day. I opened my laptop to show Sophia the special gift I'd ordered. I'll even wrap their present in the exact shade of pink she wants. You're scary when you're calculating, Sophia said admiringly. I learned from the best. I gestured to my phone, still buzzing with messages from Michaela about wedding details. They taught me that family comes first. They just forgot to ask which family I'd choose. I picked up my phone to text Poppy. Found the perfect surprise for your wedding video. Trust me, everyone will remember it. And they would, just not in the way they expected. The gift table needs to be visible from every angle, I explained to the venue coordinator, adjusting the position of the ornate display. And the videographer needs clear sightlines for the gift opening ceremony. You're really going above and beyond, the coordinator said, marking her clipboard. Most family members just show up on the day. If only she knew. My phone buzzed. A message from the fertility clinic. Your preliminary results are promising. Please call to schedule next steps. I smiled, tucking the phone away just as Poppy burst into the venue, trailing wedding planners and florists like an entitled comet. Willow, thank God you're here. She grabbed my arm. The cake designer wants to change the shade of the fondant flowers. You have to help me stop this disaster. I spent the next hour mediating between Poppy and various vendors, playing the perfect sister-in-law while mentally counting down the days. 1 week until the wedding. 1 week until everything changed. You're a lifesaver, Poppy sighed afterward. I don't know why I was ever worried about you ruining things. Water under the bridge, I said smoothly. By the way, I've arranged something special for the gift opening ceremony. Her eyes lit up. Really? What is it? You'll have to wait and see. But I promise it'll be unforgettable. That evening, I met with the videographer I'd hired. Not Seth's chosen one, but my own carefully selected professional. So you want multiple angles of the gift table? He confirmed, reviewing my instructions. Especially when they open the silver box with the pink bow. I showed him a photo. That moment needs to be captured perfectly. Every reaction, every expression. And the audio? Crystal clear. I want every word recorded. Later at Sophia's apartment, I carefully wrote the letter that would go inside the box. Each word was chosen with surgical precision, each revelation timed for maximum impact. Are you sure about this? Sophia asked, reading over my shoulder. Once you do this, there's no going back. They didn't give me a choice about the IVF money, I replied, signing my name with a flourish. Why should I give them a choice about the consequences? My phone lit up with a text from Seth. Can you come home tonight? I miss you. I showed Sophia the message. He still thinks this is just a temporary tantrum. Have you told him about the fertility clinic? He doesn't deserve to know. I sealed the letter in an envelope. None of them do. The next morning I met with Cade, Poppy's fiancé, supposedly to discuss the wedding video. He was exactly what I expected. Nice but oblivious. It's so great that you're helping with everything, he said, genuinely grateful. Poppy says you've been amazing. Just doing my part for family, I replied. By the way, how are you handling all the wedding expenses? I know these big venues can be costly. Oh, Poppy's parents are covering everything, he said proudly. They insisted. It's their gift to us. I took a slow sip of coffee, savoring the moment. How generous of them. That afternoon, Michaela called an emergency wedding meeting. Someone had ordered the wrong chairs, and apparently, this was a crisis worthy of DEFCON 1. Everything has to be perfect, she insisted, pacing her living room. Poppy deserves perfect. I sat quietly, watching her spiral, remembering all the times she'd dismissed my fertility struggles as not that important right now. Don't worry, I assured her. Everyone will get exactly what they deserve. That night, I finished packing up my office. Daryl had expedited the paperwork for my transfer to Singapore. Everything would be ready right after the wedding. Your new apartment's all set, he confirmed via email, and the fertility clinic there is expecting your files. I touched my stomach gently, thinking of the embryo transfer scheduled for next month. A new start, a new life, in every sense. My phone buzzed one last time. A message from the gift box maker. Your custom order is ready for pickup. I drove to collect it, admiring the craftsmanship. The silver paper caught the light perfectly, and the pink bow matched Poppy's precious color scheme exactly. It looked expensive, important, special. Inside, my letter waited like a time bomb. Back at Sophia's, I wrapped it carefully, adding a small card on top. To the happy couple. May you reap everything you've sown. 1 week, Sophia said, watching me work. Are you ready? I placed the box in a safe spot, already imagining the moment it would be opened in front of everyone. Family, friends, photographers, videographers, all there to witness the perfect wedding gift. They wanted a show, I said quietly. I'm going to give them one they'll never forget. The morning of the wedding dawned bright and clear. Perfect weather for a perfect day. I stood in the bridal suite, helping Poppy into her designer dress while Michaela fussed with the veil. It's just like a fairy tale, Poppy gushed, twirling in front of the mirror. And it's all because of Mom and Dad's generosity. I caught Michaela's quick, nervous glance in my direction. Yes, I agreed softly. Everyone's being so generous today. The photographer circled us, capturing every moment. My videographer was there too, getting different angles, recording everything. Willow. Michaela pulled me aside while the makeup artist touched up Poppy's lipstick. I just want to say how proud I am of how you've handled everything. You've really shown what family means. I smiled, making sure the microphone hidden in my bouquet caught every word. Oh, I'm about to show exactly what family means. The ceremony was exactly as over-the-top as $30,000 of stolen dreams could buy. Crystal-draped archways, thousands of perfectly pink peonies, and a string quartet playing as Poppy floated down the aisle. I sat next to Seth in the front row, letting him hold my hand. He kept glancing at me, relief evident in his eyes. Poor Seth, thinking he'd dodged the bullet. I love you, he whispered as Poppy and Cade exchanged vows. Thank you for understanding. I squeezed his hand. Just wait. The best part hasn't happened yet. At the reception, I played my role flawlessly. I danced, I laughed, I clinked my champagne glass during toasts. I even dabbed tears during Seth's best man speech about family loyalty. You seem different, Sophia observed from our table. Calmer. I am calm, I replied, watching the videographers set up their equipment around the gift table. I'm exactly where I need to be. Michaela clinked her glass, calling for attention. Time for the gift opening ceremony. Everyone gather around. I positioned myself carefully, making sure both cameras had clear shots of my face, of everyone's faces. This is so exciting, Poppy clapped, settling into her decorated chair. Cade sat beside her, looking happy and oblivious. Look at all these beautiful presents. They started with the registry gifts. Crystal vases, silver picture frames, expensive linens. Each one was met with appropriate oohs and ahs. Oh, this one's from Willow. Poppy lifted my silver box, admiring the perfect pink bow. It's so pretty. Open it carefully, I said, loud enough for the microphones to catch. I want everyone to see what's inside. Cade helped her untie the bow. The box lid came off. Inside, nestled in tissue paper, lay a thick envelope and a USB drive. "What's this?" Poppy asked, her smile faltering slightly. "Read it," I encouraged. "Out loud, so everyone can hear." Cade took the letter, clearing his throat. "Dear Poppy and Cade," he began, "every fairy tale wedding deserves a proper accounting." His voice trailed off as he read ahead. His face drained of color. "What is it?" Poppy grabbed the letter. Her eyes widened. This can't be right." "Keep reading," I said pleasantly. "There are bank statements attached, and some very interesting text messages." "What's going on?" Michaela stepped forward, but froze when she saw the contents. I stood up, addressing the confused crowd. "The USB contains video evidence of every conversation where this wedding was planned. Every scheme to take my IVF fund. Every lie about where the money came from." "Willow," Seth started to rise. "Don't play the video," I called to the technician. The reception hall's screens flickered to life, showing Michaela and Seth planning in her kitchen. Their voices filled the room. "Poppy needs this more than Willow needs a baby." Gasps echoed through the crowd. Cade's parents stood up, faces darkening with anger. "You told me your parents paid for everything," Cade said to Poppy, his voice shaking. I thought they did." Poppy turned to Michaela. "Mom?" But Michaela was staring at me, finally understanding. This wasn't just revenge. This was execution. "You've ruined everything," she hissed. "No," I replied calmly. "You did that when you decided your daughter's party was worth more than my family." The room erupted into chaos. Cade's father was shouting about fraud. Poppy was crying. Seth was trying to reach me through the crowd. I picked up my purse and headed for the door, pausing only to address the shell-shocked wedding party one last time. "Consider this my gift to the happy couple," I announced. "The truth, wrapped in silver paper with a perfect pink bow. Because that's what family does, right? They give you exactly what you deserve." The last thing I saw as I walked out was Sophia raising her champagne glass in my direction, a proud smile on her face. The best revenge, after all, isn't served cold. It's served in front of witnesses with excellent audio-visual equipment. I made it halfway across the parking lot before the first person caught up with me. It was Cade, his face flushed with anger and betrayal. "Wait," he called out. "I need to know. Was all of it true?" I turned, pulling out my phone. "Here's the email trail between Seth and the wedding planner. And here's the bank statements showing where my IVF money went. $30,000, Cade. That's what your perfect wedding day cost me." He scrolled through the evidence, his hands shaking. I had no idea. Poppy told me her parents were paying for everything. That's what they told everyone. I showed him another email. They even took out a loan against my house, the one Seth and I owned together, without my knowledge. Oh, God. He looked back at the venue, where we could hear Poppy's shrill voice rising above the chaos. What have I married into? Before I could answer, the venue doors burst open. Seth came running out, followed by Michaela and Poppy. "How could you?" Poppy screamed, her mascara running down her face. "You've ruined everything." "Funny," I replied calmly. "That's exactly how I felt when I found out you stole my chance at having a baby." "It wasn't stealing," Michaela interjected. "We were going to pay it back." "When?" I cut her off. "After you took out more loans against my house? After you drained whatever savings we had left?" By now, wedding guests were spilling out into the parking lot, phones recording everything. Perfect. Let them capture this too. "I trusted you," Cade said to Poppy. "My parents trusted you. We're going to have to return everything. The gifts, the honeymoon deposits." "But it's my wedding day," Poppy wailed. "It was my future," I countered. "My children. My family. But you decided your party was more important." Seth stepped forward, reaching for my hand. I pulled away. "Willow, please," he begged. "We can fix this. We can start saving again. There is no we anymore. I pulled out another envelope. These are divorce papers. My lawyer will be in touch about the house. The crowd gasped. Michaela lunged forward, but Sophia, bless her timing, stepped between us. Don't even think about it, Sophia warned. The cameras are still rolling. You planned this, Michaela accused, her voice shaking. You pretended to help with the wedding just to humiliate us. No, I corrected her. I helped with the wedding to ensure everyone would be here to witness the truth. The humiliation? That's all on you. Cade's father pushed through the crowd. The caterers are asking about payment. Apparently their final check bounced. What? Poppy turned to Seth. You said you took care of that. Seth looked trapped. The account was empty after the venue payment. More vendors appeared. The photographer, the florist, the musicians, all with the same story. Bounced checks, declined cards. See? I gestured to the growing chaos. This is what happens when you build a fairy tale on stolen dreams. My parents will help, Poppy insisted. But Cade's father shook his head. No, they won't. We're getting this marriage annulled immediately. He turned to the crowd. Everyone go home. This wedding is over. Poppy collapsed into dramatic sobs. Michaela tried to comfort her, but Cade's mother stepped in. Don't touch her, she snapped. You're lucky if we don't press charges for fraud. I started walking toward my car again. This time, Seth ran after me. You can't just leave, he pleaded. What about our marriage? Our future? I turned to face him one last time. Our future died the moment you chose them over us. Over me. Over our baby. But I love you. No, I said quietly. You love the idea of me. The willing victim who always forgives, who always understands, who always puts everyone else first. But that woman doesn't exist anymore. You killed her. The videographer appeared, camera still rolling. Should I keep filming? Yes, I smiled. Make sure you get this part. Seth, I want you to remember this moment. Remember how it feels to watch everything you love walk away. Because that's exactly how I felt when I checked our bank account that day. I got into my car. Sophia sliding into the passenger seat. Through the windshield, we watched the scene continue to unfold. Poppy crying in her ruined dress, Cade's family making angry phone calls, vendors demanding payment. Ready? Sophia asked. I started the engine, thinking of the fertility clinic appointment scheduled for tomorrow morning, of the new job waiting in Singapore, of the future I was finally taking back. You know what? I put the car in drive. For the first time in years, I actually am. 3 days after the wedding disaster, Seth showed up at Sophia's apartment. I was packing boxes when he knocked. Your mother let me know where you were staying, he said, looking haggard. Can we talk? I left the door open but continued packing. About what? The divorce papers I sent? Or the legal notice about the unauthorized loans against our house? About us. He sat on the edge of a box. Poppy and Cade's marriage was annulled yesterday. His family is threatening to sue. Mom's a mess. Everything's falling apart. Sounds like consequences to me. I know I messed up. Messed up? I turned to face him. You didn't forget to take out the trash, Seth. You systematically stole our future. We can try again. I'll get another job. Work overtime. I pulled out my phone, showing him the fertility clinic's confirmation email. I already did try again. 2 days ago. His face went pale. What? I had an embryo transfer. Donor sperm, my eggs. Single mother track. I watched the information hit him. In about 8 months, I'm going to be a mother. Without you. You can't do this, he whispered. I already did. And here's the best part. I used the money from selling my car and jewelry. Assets in my name only. The way you should have done with your sister's wedding. He stood up, running his hands through his hair. But what about our marriage? Our marriage? I laughed. Let me show you something. I pulled up the video from the wedding. Watch this part carefully. This is where your mother explains how they planned to use my IVF money months ago. Where you nodded and agreed. Where you chose them over me, over our baby, over everything we planned. I was trying to help my sister, and I'm trying to help myself. I handed him another envelope. These are the transfer papers for my new position. In Singapore. Singapore? His voice cracked. You're moving across the world? The fertility clinic there is excellent. My new apartment has a nursery. And best of all, I smiled, it's too far for your family to interfere. What about my rights? As the father, you're not the father. That's what you chose when you stole our baby's money. I'm using a donor, someone who actually wanted to help create a family, not destroy one. The door opened and Sophia walked in, followed by my lawyer. Perfect timing, I said. Seth was just leaving. Actually, my lawyer interjected, we need to discuss the house. Given the unauthorized loans and financial fraud, we're pushing for an immediate sale with proceeds split after debt resolution. Seth slumped against the wall. Mom said she'd help with the loans. Your mother, Sophia cut in, is currently dealing with Cade's family's lawyers. I doubt she'll be helping anyone for a while. My phone buzzed. A message from Daryl. Singapore office is ready. Apartment keys waiting. Start whenever you're ready. I showed Seth the message. My flight leaves next week. Sign the papers, Seth. Let me go. I never meant to hurt you, he whispered. But you did. Every time you lied, every time you chose them, every time you watched me inject hormones knowing you were stealing our chances. I handed him a pen. The difference is, I'm choosing myself now. He signed the papers, hands shaking. As my lawyer gathered them, Seth looked at me one last time. Will you ever forgive me? I touched my stomach gently, thinking of the tiny possibility growing inside me. Someday, when my child asks about their father, I'll tell them the truth. That sometimes the family you choose is better than the family you're given. After he left, Sophia hugged me. You okay? Better than okay. I showed her my calendar. First ultrasound is scheduled for next month, in Singapore. Speaking of which, she pulled out her phone. Look what's trending locally. The wedding video had gone viral. Comments flooded in, most supporting my actions. Even better were the messages from other women sharing similar stories of family betrayal and financial abuse. You didn't just get revenge, Sophia said. You started a conversation. My phone buzzed again. The fertility clinic confirming my hormone levels were perfect. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. I looked around at my packed boxes, each one labeled for my new life. In 1 week, I'd be on a plane to Singapore, carrying precious cargo, both in my boxes and in my body. You know what's funny? I said to Sophia. They always said family comes first. They just never expected me to put my own family first. I placed a hand on my stomach, feeling stronger than I had in years. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying someone else's dreams. It's about refusing to let them destroy yours. The Singapore sunrise painted my apartment walls gold as I finished unpacking the last box. My phone buzzed with a video call from Sophia. Show me the nursery, she demanded before I could even say hello. I turned the camera to pan across the room. Soft gray walls, a white crib, and a window overlooking the city skyline. What do you think? It's perfect. She paused. Oh, and you might want to check your email. Someone sent me something interesting. I opened my laptop to find a forwarded message, a local news article about Michaela and Poppy being sued by Cade's family for fraud. The wedding venue had joined the lawsuit after discovering the bounced checks were part of a larger pattern. Karma really is a patient worker, Sophia commented. Speaking of work, I showed her my office setup in the corner of the living room. First remote meeting with the team in an hour. And the other appointment? I held up the ultrasound picture. Want to see your future godchild? Sophia squealed. It's really happening. It really is. I touched the small bump that was just beginning to show. And guess what came in the mail yesterday? I held up the final divorce papers, Seth's signature stark against the white page. Freedom, officially documented. Have you heard from any of them? Michaela tried to message me on social media. Something about how I've destroyed the family and ruined Poppy's life. I smiled. I sent back a link to the viral wedding video. My phone pinged with another message, this one from Daryl. Conference call in 10. Ready to show them what you've got? I should go, I told Sophia. Time to prove why they hired me. Wait! She held up an envelope. One last thing arrived for you here. Want me to open it? I nodded. She tore open the envelope and pulled out a letter. It's from Cade, she said, surprised. He writes, Thank you for exposing the truth. I'm sorry about your IVF fund. My family's lawyers will make sure you're compensated in the lawsuit. Some dreams shouldn't be stolen, no matter what family claims. I felt tears prick my eyes. Save that letter. Maybe someday I'll show it to this little one. Proof that doing the right thing matters, even when it's hard. My laptop chimed with the incoming conference call. Gotta go. Love you. Love you too, Mama, Sophia grinned before disconnecting. I settled at my desk, adjusted my camera, and took a deep breath. On my screen, faces from around the world popped up. My new team. My new start. Welcome to Singapore. Daryl's voice came through clear. Ready to show us your ideas for the Asia-Pacific campaign? I touched my stomach gently, feeling the flutter of movement that had become familiar these past weeks. More than ready. As I launched into my presentation, my phone lit up with one final message. From Seth. I'm sorry. For everything. I hope you find the happiness I was too weak to protect. I left it unread. Some chapters need to stay closed. Instead, I focused on my screen, on my new colleagues nodding along with my ideas, on the sunlight streaming through my window, on the nursery door visible just behind me, waiting for its future occupant. The presentation went perfectly. As I signed off, Daryl stayed on the line. You know, he said, when you first told me your plan to leave everything behind, I thought you were crazy. But now I think you're the sanest person I know. He smiled. The team loves you, by the way. Singapore was the right choice. I looked around my apartment, at the ultrasound picture on my fridge, the divorce papers ready to file, the empty boxes that had carried my new life across an ocean. You know what's funny? I said. Everyone kept telling me that family comes first, that I needed to sacrifice for family. That family means doing whatever they ask. And now, I placed both hands on my growing bump, feeling the tiny kicks that reminded me I wasn't alone anymore. Now I know they were right about one thing. Family does come first, but we get to choose which family that is. After we hung up, I walked to the nursery and stood in the doorway, watching the morning light play across the crib. In a few months, this room would hold my child. A child created not from stolen dreams and broken promises, but from strength and choice and hope. Sometimes the happiest endings don't come from forgiveness or reconciliation. Sometimes they come from walking away, from choosing yourself, from building something new from the ashes of what was stolen. And sometimes, just sometimes, they come from realizing that the family you make is stronger than the family that tried to break you.